According to the United States Census Bureau, 50.5% of women are on the planet right now. They are probably doing the same things that you do every day, going to work, taking their kids to school, reading, or going to bed. Of that 50.5%, 40% are participants of sports, like athletes, according to UNESCO, a data and statistics website. Simone Biles, Serena Williams, Danica Patrick, Erin Andrews, Maria Teresa de Filippis, Ronda Rousey, and many more. These women have either been the first in their sport or have broken ground for future women in sports. One study helped run by Professor Cheryl Cookie at Purdue University called One and Done, the long eclipse of women's televised sports from 1989 through 2019 found that women's sports received the same amount of screen time today as in the 1980s. In 2019, the coverage of women's athletes on televised news and highlight shows totaled to a 5.4% airtime, while in 1993 it was 5.1%. Another study called Women's Representation and Organizational Characteristics in Sports Governance, Implications for Gender Policy and Practice investigates the representation of women board members in sports governance. Michael Messner states that sports are perceived as masculine because men are considered as physically more capable for top performance, more knowledgeable about sports, and more appropriate leaders. While Annalise Knoppers backs him to say that this ideology is still present in the boardroom today. The representation of women in the field of sports has grown since sports first became popular, but there is still a conversation to be had about more representation. My name is Faith Rodriguez, and I'm a woman in sports. But this is not my story. It's the story of the women who have paved the way before me to be where I am today. And this is their story. Women hold immense power in sports, from fans, content creators, athletes, sports journalists, and a technical director for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
The new $210 million man. Bounce to second. Garrett Hampson there again tonight. Good.
It kind of makes you feel like a badass, if I can say that.
Jordan Copeland is a director for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Her story in sports starts when she was 5 years old. She participated in t-ball, dance, and cheer.
I did every sport under the sun. I was a tomboy, yet girly girls. I gravitated towards hanging out with the guys and but yet at the same time, I wore my dresses, I did my hair, I did my makeup. Shoes are my passion. I have like over 100 pairs of shoes, so I'm a girl, but I can hang with the guys.
Her first break into the sports world was her internship in 2015 with the Arizona Diamondbacks in production.
That was something that wasn't on my radar in the sense of like what production was, in the sports realm. Like I didn't understand what that was until I did that internship. And then I realized, oh my gosh, when you go to a game, you don't realize that there's a show going on. There's literally a huge production that takes time and planning. And then I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I don't want to be a reporter. I don't want to be on the camera anymore.
Her career in sports has given her the opportunity to work with many different sports teams such as the Arizona Mercury, Rattlers, Diamondbacks, Coyotes, and Phoenix Suns, even picking up Arizona State University and Grand Canyon University games. Being a freelancer has brought her these opportunities for 10 years now, but in the sports world, the schedule is far from normal. From working weekend to odd hours to even a game on a 4 p.m. on a Thursday evening.
I hated it at first because, you graduate and you're like, I'm a big girl. I need a full-time job, and I need benefits and blah, 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 and all this stuff. So it took me a few years to realize that it's not normal, but working in sports isn't normal. You don't have a 9 to 5.
Working in a male-dominated atmosphere, it was second nature because she grew up with brothers and keeping up with her male counterparts at work was easy for her.
Working in sports, it's the same thing because it's a majority of men. There's other women that I work with too, and I love them to death. But, it is a man's world, and being able to be right there on their level is, in my opinion, was pretty easy for me.
Every control room she has worked in, she could tell that men and women had certain jobs.
So I do feel like that representation of women can do that job too wasn't there for me. I feel like I was able to break that barrier, that wall, that ceiling, whatever you want to call it. Because every control room that I have personally worked in, there hasn't been a female director. Female TDs were rare. The only one that had a steady female like TD was Suns. So no, I didn't feel like women were represented well in the sports world.
Being the first technical director that she knows of is important to her. She hopes that she can be a representation for others because she did not have it. Being a woman in sports makes her feel powerful.
It kind of makes you feel like a badass, if I can say that.
Existing in other aspects might be harder at some points in life, but killing it in sports gives her that balance.
When those hard times at home or, whatever, you kind of have to remind yourself you have this balance where like, okay, I might be not doing well right here in this area, but you know what? I'm also killing it in this area.
After talking with a fellow woman in sports, the pressure is there.
I was talking with another female in sports. She was saying, that sometimes the pressure to do good is harder on us because, if a male comes in and does even just as good, not even better, just as good, you might lose your job to him.
Being able to make her own hours allows her to have flexibility in her life.
Working in sports has been wonderful because I get my cake and eat it too. I get to be a mother during the day and, stay at home with her and take care of her. And then my husband comes home from work and, we high five as we walk through the door and I take off and I go work whatever sport I'm working that night.
Her final thoughts were how other women can be an example to little girls who want to be women in sports. To answer her question, I keep telling girls what I tell myself. That is, to dream big because you can do anything. As of 2025, there is still no statistic number of female technical directors in sports.